Okay, Glitch Ripper here, and I'm back with some more Magic Duels. And I was going to be showing a little bit more of some of the basics. So, I go over here, and it's not going to be like the basics, it's going to be like the almost the basics, like right afterwards, because I already showed the basics, so yeah. Okay, so let's go over here. So we're going to go to parts of the turn. I'm still not sure how the audio is going to work out. Let's see, so I'll summarize things.
A turn in Magic is broken into several phases. At the start of your turn, you'll untap all your tapped cards and draw a card. There are two main phases, one before combat and one after. Most spells can be cast only during one of your main phases. If a card in your hand is glowing, it means you can cast that spell or play that land.
Okay, now I was going to summarize here. But basically, at the very start of your turn, you go through what's known as the upkeep phase. It's otherwise known as the untap phase because you untap all the things that you're allowed to untap. But since you also draw a card during that time, it's overall referred to as upkeep. And this isn't just all your lands, this is also all your creatures, artifacts, basically anything that can tap and is tapped, you'll untap. So basically undo everything there. Now, main phases is where you cast most of your spells, and is when it's allowed in Darn Lips. And it's when you're allowed to play land cards, which are, of course, the power source for your spells. You get one before combat and one afterward. And then you go to the end of your turn. Of course, if you manage to do something special before that time, like win the game, then obviously your turn is ended, so it's a bit different then. Now, if something is part of the electronic version of the game here at Magic Duels rather than the physical card game, it kind of indicates to you any time that something you can play is playable by it glowing. Obviously, this doesn't happen with the physical cards, although there are some very shiny ones referred to as foils. So they don't actually like actively glow; they're just really shiny. So just know that just because you can play it in this game, it'll glow. In the physical card game, that doesn't necessarily apply. So let's go on with this part of the lesson here.
You've already seen the combat phase, when creatures attack and block. All damage dealt to creatures heals at the end of the turn. After that, the next turn begins. Okay,
so again to summarize, whenever you get to your end phase, which is the very last part of your turn, and this is shown here, but doesn't even show the upkeep. It goes upkeep, main, attack and block, damage is determined, your second main phase, and end of turn. At end of turn, all things that say until end of turn end, as well as all damage that's been dealt to your creatures in the form of damage rather than permanent effects, will basically heal instantly. The pace of combat's a bit different in Magic the Gathering compared to a lot of other games. Healing actually happens pretty fast. The overall pace of the game is turn-based, so that can really vary. But healing creatures is automatic and quick. Just whenever your turn ends, it heals everything that's been damaged, period. Same goes for your opponent, obviously. So the thing is, it's kind of a different way of determining things. So you just go through the series of steps in your turn, and at the very end, everything heals. So, yeah. So, interesting summary there.
This skill quest starts in your first main phase. A Darkslick Drake stands between your Elvish Warrior and victory. Find a way to attack and win this turn.
Okay, again to summarize, because the skill quest is set up as a special scenario, I have an enemy creature in my way, and I have to get it out of my way and attack this training drone over here to win. Now, I have 3 forests in play, and my creature is already technically ready to attack. But, at the same time, I have a creature in the way that has enough power and toughness that means that I won't be able to kill it off in a single turn, and it won't be able to kill off mine in a single turn. Because power is the first number, and toughness is the second. So this one is a 2-3 creature, as we like to say, with power said before toughness. And so it has 2 points of power and 3 points of toughness, which means it can deal 2 points of damage on the attack, and it can receive 3 from a creature before it dies, and is sent to the graveyard. This one over here, the enemies, is a 2-4 creature. It has 2 points of power and 4 points of toughness. It also has flying, which will come up later, definitely. I'll be showing that off. It also has an ability of, when it dies, draw a card. Which is one of those times that, as I said before, you need to consider reading what it says on the card to know what everything does. There's also this thing saying it's from the starter box that's mainly relevant to this electronic version of the game, and is something I'll probably go over later. Now, as for the actual way this is supposed to go, with this skill quest, because I have an island, it can, well, I have it in my hand. I have 3 forests already here, and they produce green mana. I have a green creature in play. But apparently this deck is built around blue and green colors, not just one. And that's one thing, you can always play with multiple colors and black colors, and pretty much you can mix and match things to, pretty much how you imagine. Although there are practical limits. Now, to be able to get around this, you have to kind of look at what you've been given, because these skill quests are always set up to allow you to win. In this case, what I need to do is I need to play this land so that I can immediately tap it for a point of blue mana. And the thing about lands is they are not spells, and unless something is indicating they shouldn't be able to tap, they're able to tap immediately for power. And they're kind of their own thing as to how they work. They cannot be countered, although there can be effects that limit play of lands or specifically target them. So land is very important, and in this case, one land is very important, this island. Because as soon as I play this, I'll have that 1 point of blue mana that I need to win. Because this card here has been given to me as part of this skill quest. It's called Unsummon. Now, this is an instant, meaning it can be played both on your turn and on your opponent's turn. It can be played at any time. If it's a sorcery, it can only be done on your turn. And these are spells. They are not. I mean, they're spells, but they're not creatures. Like, you don't summon a creature with this. You do a special effect. In this case, I'm going to be sending something back to my opponent's hand. Or rather, the owner's hand. Like, if somebody took control of your creature, and you used Unsummon on it while it was on their side of the field, it would go back to your hand because you're its owner, as opposed to the one who's controlling it at the time. So this could be useful in multiple situations. But now, time to show how this part works. I play my island. It can give me blue mana. Play Unsummon, and now I can fling this Dark Slick Drake away. Now, it's not going to die, it's going to be sent back. So because it doesn't die, the enemy does not draw a card. So, go away. Thank you. Okay, now, because I have literally nothing else I can do, like I have no cards in hand, so even though I have some available mana in the form of these forests, I can't actually play anything. The computer automatically determines that since I literally can't do any other action, that phase of my turn automatically goes to the next one. In this case, attack. Now normally, if I go from attack and the enemy survives, then I would go to my next main phase, as it was trying to describe before. But because that won't be possible, because the skill quest is kind of laid out the way it is, and if I don't do this, then it just fails you and you can go back to the beginning, because this is a skill quest, not the main part of the game. This means I can't really show that part of it going from attack to a second main phase, and the enemy has nothing left to block with, so goodbye, training drone. Nice knowing you.
Good job! Casting the right spell at the right time can be the difference between defeat and victory.
Okay. Now the thing is, there's going to be a lot more skill quests, not just these here that I'm going to go over. I'm not sure if I'm going to go over like all the ones that's part of like the advance before I get to the actual showing off the game, because over time the game has accumulated a lot of special abilities and rules over time that it's had to go with, And the electronic version here with Magic Duels doesn't even show that all, because historically there's been, like, an absolute ton. They're only representing some of the recent sets and their rules here. Well, so they've updated rules permanently for a lot of things, but I mean, like, there's certain types of abilities that aren't shown, and that's because they're just not in the sets that are allowed here. Like, for example, here's an interesting quick preview. If I go to story mode, these are all the sets of Magic the Gathering that are represented in Magic Duels, with a few other special cards included here and there in certain ways. But this is all there is in this one. This doesn't go back to many historical sets. Like, for example, it certainly doesn't show them all. Like, not by a long shot. Like, the very first expansion ever was Arabian Nights, and you definitely don't see any symbol for it here. So it's not going through its history. It's just going through certain recent ones that have been thematically chosen to really represent the game in its recent form. So I'm not going to be able to go over absolutely everything about Magic the Gathering here, partially because I myself don't exactly have everything. But, yeah, it's just going to show there's a lot more to the game than what's going to be shown in Magic Duels itself. So, for now, I'm just going to leave off with that. So, this is Glitch Reaper, and I hope to hear from y'all later. So, bye for now, everybody.